is Allison from Wonderlast.com, and I am popping in today because I'm going to share with you my bullet journal setup for May. And I am extra excited because this month I did a theme of this. No, I'm not talking about my boobs. That's weird. I'm talking about this. So some of you might recognize the print on my shirt as Adventure Time, and that is the theme that I went for with May, and I am freaking excited about it. If you have not seen the show Adventure Time, you are missing out. It's hilarious and funny and colorful. It's really random and it's awesome. You hear that? Mr. Purry agrees. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the little subscribe button below this video, and of course the little ding ding bell so you actually get the notifications, because I put out brand spanking new videos every single Wednesday to help you plan and organize and grow the shiz out of your business, and you do not want to miss them. And so without further ado, let's do the May plan with me. Okay, so as I mentioned, I went with Adventure Time for the theme for May because it's one of my all-time favorite TV shows ever. It's a cartoon, but it's really geared more towards adults with its themes and its sense of humor, and it's just awesome. It's so quirky and colorful. I friggin' love it. But I had actually decided about a week before May that I was going to do this theme, and so I ordered these Adventure Time stickers off of Etsy of all of the different characters so that I wouldn't have to draw them and so that I could just doodle the backgrounds and use the stickers for the characters. So I ordered them hoping they would be here by May 1st, but May 1st came and went and they were not here, so I was like, well, I'll just wait a couple more days. And they still didn't come. So on Sunday, May 6th, I was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to have to hand draw all the characters because at this point, it is going to be halfway through May before I get this done. And I was really bummed because I had already kind of penciled everything out and I wanted to start using it. So that's why this whole plan with me is like a week and a half late, because I was waiting on these stickers from Etsy that never came. So consequently, you're gonna see that all of these pages are very doodle slash drawing heavy because I had to draw all of the cartoon characters myself, which was a little nerve-wracking. So I went with a quote from one of the characters of the show named Jake, and it's, "Remember, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something." And I like that quote because it's always about taking the first step. No one ever starts off being like super good at something. Well, some people are naturally good at things, but with most things, you have to start off sucking before you can actually become good at something. And a lot of people get stuck at not even going for it in the first place. So if you watch Adventure Time at all, you'll probably notice that I'm trying to draw my cover page, the May font, in the actual font that they use in the cartoon at the very beginning for the Adventure Time title. They're very kind of this medieval 3D looking letters, and so I was trying to use a combination of both pen and color pencil to achieve this effect because I didn't have every color I needed. And I, by the way, will link to all of the supplies that I use throughout this video because I can never remember the names and numbers of all of the pens and pencils that I use. It's confusing, man. I can't even remember my own age half the time, let alone all of the colors and stuff that I'm using. So if you are curious about any of the supplies that I'm using, I will definitely link to them below. I'm completely obsessed with those watercolor pens though that I'm using right now. They are amazing. Also, if you have any ideas for future bullet journaling videos that you would like to see, then be sure to let me know in the description below. I plan on doing these monthly Plan With Me videos because they're super fun, and I would be doing this anyway, so why not stick a camera overhead and share it with the world? But if you have any other specific types of bullet journaling videos that you would like to see, let me know, and I will try my best to make them. So as you can see, here I am drawing one of the very first characters of this entire thing, and her name is Lady Rainicorn. She's one of my favorite characters because she's colorful, she's fun, she only speaks unicorn, so sometimes she wears this really hilarious voice changer box that makes her sound like an old man, and I was like, why not start off the spreads with her? And I will say that it was a little nerve-wracking drawing all these characters because the characters are all supposed to, look a certain way, and if I did a really bad job, then it would be clear that I messed up, and then I'd have to look at crappy looking characters all month long. Whereas if you just like doodle some random doodles, and if you mess up, that's fine, because no one knows otherwise like what they're supposed to look like. But with like specific characters, it is glaring when you mess up. So like, please, come on, don't mess this up. And this little guy that I'm drawing is this little butterfly character. One of my favorite episodes is when two characters in the show are trying to carry this tart across the land. It's like the most delicious tart ever, and they're supposed to guard it with their lives because everyone in the land wants it because it's so delicious. And they're carrying this tart and going through all this trouble to keep it safe, and out of nowhere this like little butterfly with like a little laser gun thing comes and steals the tart, and it's really funny. And he's like, "Laters," and he like flies off. And I wanted to incorporate this because I always say that quote anytime I'm leaving my friends or like I'm leaving my boyfriend. I'll be like, "Laters." Whew, finally finished that cover page. One thing you're gonna notice is that this video is a little bit long, and that is because I had to draw all the characters. So it's very drawing intensive, and it took me a lot longer than it would normally take me. So this video is a little longer than normal. You're in for a royal treat. So this is the monthly overview page, and I'm kind of sticking to a very similar layout that I've done the last 2 months because it's been working really well. And the little boxes I'm doing are 5 by 5 spaces across with 1 space in between. But I'm kind of in this place where I've found what's worked really well for me just because I did so much researching ahead of time before starting my bullet journal. I've only been bullet journaling since mid-March. So I've found these spreads that work really well for me, but at the same time, I don't want to get totally in the same habit of just doing the same thing every single month, because that's one of the great things about bullet journaling is that you can do whatever the heck you want. And so I'm like on this place where I'm like torn. I'm like, do I just do something different purely for the sake of doing something different, or do I stick with what's working really well? I'm sure I'll switch it up. I mean, I obviously switch it up a little bit. This is the first time I've done floating boxes after all. But yeah, so there's that. So for this monthly overview spread, I was kind of trying to make it look like the opening of the cartoon opening. At the end of the credits, it starts with like these clouds and rolling hills and mountains. So that's kind of what I was going for, and I was trying to make the boxes look all floaty with some drop shadows. And for the bottom right hand corner, I'm drawing one of my favorite characters. He's a little penguin named Gunter, and he can't talk. He just makes these little wah, wah, wah sounds. So I was like, why not? He's cute. He'll look adorable in that little corner. Man, I love cute things. Who doesn't love cute things? So over on the left-hand side, I'm doing what I've done in previous months because it's worked really well. I'm writing out a space for my top 3 goals for the month. That way I can stay focused, and I never choose more than 3 for a month because then it gets really overwhelming. I like to choose 3 big goals for the month, and then of course my little growth tracker for my email list, YouTube, Facebook page, Facebook group, Instagram, all of the things that I want to track, and that's been really cool. I've been doing that as well in previous months, and it's been really neat to see like where I've been growing and what has maybe stayed a little stagnant and what I need to work on. And it's just kind of motivating to be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, I grew that. Or it's like a nice kick in the pants if you're like, oh, didn't grow that. Or it's even more a kick in the pants if you're like, didn't grow that at all. Oopsies. Moving on to the next spread. This is probably the spread I am the most excited about for several reasons. Firstly, this is the first time ever that I am trying a mood tracker. I haven't really felt like doing it in the past, but this month I was like, you know what? I want to track my mood. I want to see at the end of the month how I have felt on certain days. I just thought it'd be really cool to look back at. I was also really excited about this spread because it has one of my absolute favorite characters from the show, Tree Trunks. She's like this little elephant that has this weird kind of old lady voice, and she's really sweet, but she has like this slightly sinister evil side, and she's one of my favorite characters. So there's this part in the series where she gets possessed by this crystal kingdom, and she's called the Crystal Queen, and there's crystals everywhere. So I thought it would be super fun to make my mood tracker this gigantic cluster of crystals. And there she is kind of hovering above it with her little crystal eyes. And I loved the way this turned out. I just Googled a couple images of crystals and started drawing away. The only thing I'll say is that my hand was definitely cramping by the end, but it was actually really fun and really satisfying to keep layering in the crystals and seeing it all come together. And I'm so excited to see what this is going to look like once it's all colored in. And then I just went back in after drawing the crystals to give a number to each crystal for the days of May. So there's 31 crystals. And then at the top, I just drew like a little key with a crystal and the moods that I want to track. So happy, inspired, calm, doubtful, tired, and stressed. And my goal is to be as either happy, calm, or inspired as possible, and try to avoid feeling stressed and tired, because one thing that I noticed back in 2017, I was really living in chronic stress, like stress all the time. And I've been really working hard to break that habit and really being mindful of how I feel on the inside on a daily basis. Another reason why I was really excited about this spread is because also, for the first time ever, I decided to try individual habit trackers. Up until this point, I've been doing one big, gigantic habit tracker, and I thought it would be really fun to see them all laid out as little individual calendars so that I could kind of just see each habit by itself. And yeah, I also thought it might be easier to fill out, because sometimes with the big habit trackers, it kind of gets a little overwhelming to like find out like which line corresponds with each habit. Not really overwhelming, but it's just like a little extra step. So for this, I just thought it would be really easy to go back and fill out. And then again, cool to see each individual habit in its own little calendar. Although having to draw out all these little calendars, because I'm tracking 9 different habits, was again making my hand cramp so bad. I will say that by the time I finish this spread, and certainly by the time I get done with the next spread, y'all, my hand was just like, my wrist and my fingers were so much cramping that I could barely even grip the pen. So you're gonna notice that in like the last 3 pages of this whole setup, I get really lazy because I legit could not draw or do anymore. And I'm just going back in and adding some nice purple highlights. So for the bottom of this page, I, once again, because I did not have my Adventure Time stickers, had to actually hand draw the character. And so I'm drawing Jake, who is one of the main characters of the series. He's a little yellow doggy, and I wanted to draw like a whole scene. It's very whimsical, and there's a kingdom in the show called the Candy Kingdom, and so they have just all of this really fun, like fun trees and lollipop trees and cotton candy forests, and there's rainbows and there's little bubblegum bubbles floating in the air. So I tried to kind of make the whole scene, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So yeah, definitely a lot of drawing involved with this whole May setup. I will probably go a lot more simplistic for June just to give myself a rest, but who knows, I might be feeling totally rejuvenated by then and be like, oh, I'm gonna go all in with the drawing. But that's the beauty of it. Like, if you don't want to do a bunch of drawing or doodles in your bullet journal, you don't have to do any. You might be watching this thinking, Allison, you're insane. I would never want to draw that much or spend that much time drawing and doing doodles. And that is totally okay. You do you. I genuinely love to draw and doodle. So for me, it's almost like a therapeutic time that I look forward to. I love sitting down and drawing and doodling and all of that jazz. So for this spread, this was inspired by a new planner that I got from my business coach. It's like a 90-day goal planner, and I didn't want to necessarily use it, even though it's a really cool planner, but I already have my bullet journal that I use as my planner. But I did flip through the pages, and so these 2 pages are specifically inspired by the 90-day goal planner. And there's a spread where you are supposed to pick out the top 3 goals for the next 90 days, and then also why you have chosen them, because you need that motivation. Like, if you're just choosing random goals, but you don't got a good reason, then you're not going to stay motivated. So top 3 goals for 90 days, followed by why the heck am I choosing those goals? And for the little doodles, I decided to draw Finn, who is one of the main characters. I know I keep saying everyone's a main character, but he's legit. Like Finn and the dog I just drew on the other page, they're like they're the duo. They're like the main duo of the whole series. But anyway, I'm super excited to use this spread because I am big on goal setting and I'm obsessed with quarterly planning. So choosing 3 main goals for the quarter and really getting focused on those and getting focused on my why for those is something I'm super into. I've been doing quarterly planning like this for the last a little over 2 years, and it's been a game changer. I think one of the biggest killers of productivity with people is that they choose too many goals, too many things to focus on. They spread themselves too thin, and so by the end of the time they've chosen, they haven't really gotten much done because they've been trying to do all the things. So by choosing just 2 to 3 main goals per quarter, I have found to be a game changer. I'm really able to get focused in, I'm not overwhelmed, and I can make really big progress in whatever I'm trying to accomplish. And that little purple blob is, of course, Lumpy Space Princess, one of my favorite characters of the show. Oh my god, guys, like, this is how she talks, and she's hilarious, and she has so much sass, and I love her. Yeah, so that's that spread. And moving on to the next spread, the page on the left is a continuation of the spread I just did and inspired by the 90-day goal planner, and it's where I'm going to break down the main actions that I need to take for each of those 3 goals. So I'm going to list them out and then put 5 specific actions I need to take for each of the 3 goals along with due dates. And then the page over on the right is just kind of a brain dump page where I can put all of my big ideas or small ideas, you know, I don't discriminate. But at this point, y'all, my hand was cramping up something big. I don't know, that didn't make sense, but whatever. My hand was cramping, my fingers were cramping, and the thought of drawing another character was like, no. So I later went back in and added Shelby the Worm right there. Like the next day, back when I could actually hold a pen again. And then the final spread for this setup is my weekly spread, and as I've already mentioned like 1,000 times, I started a week late because I was waiting for the Adventure Time stickers, and so I just went ahead and jumped right into the current week, May 7th through the 13th. And this is very similar to what I've been doing just because it's been working so well, and I don't want to change my weekly spread too much when something's working really well because it's working really well, and this is the spread that I use every day, all day. So I give boxes for each of the days of the week, and that's where I put in certain tasks that I have to do at certain times. And then at the bottom of the page, I've got a space on the left for my top 5 main goals. If I don't get anything else done, what do I need to do? Then a space for work to-dos and just random to-dos. And then I included a little habit tracker over on the right, but instead of tracking my habits, I just have a reminder of the habits I want to track because I already have those little individual trackers and I won't have to mark it off in 2 places. Yeah, so that's a little bit different from my previous spreads. But that's the end, and here is the flip through of the entire bullet journal, starting with the cover page, going into the monthly overview, going into the mood and habit trackers, then my top 3 goals for the 90 days, main actions, big ideas, and of course, weekly spread. And there you have it. That is my May setup for my bullet journal. I hope you found this video helpful, entertaining, inspiring, whatevs, something. And if you have any specific ideas for a bullet journaling video that you would love to see, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I am always looking for reasons to spend more time in my bullet journal. Also, if you decide that you'd like to try and recreate this spread for yourself, then be sure to share it with me. I would seriously love to see your creations. So share it with me on Instagram. You can tag me at Wonderlass. Be sure to tag me in the photo and also in the caption so that I don't miss it. I would love to see it. I would love to screenshot it, and I would frankly love to share it in upcoming videos. If you share it on Facebook, then just tag me at Wonderlass Blog. So, you know, yeah. Fun fact, I just got sweat on my bullet journal because I'm sweating and it's warm in here and my legs are sweating and now my bullet journal is sweaty. So see you next week.